that is how you fade out. It is different to me to hear music playing and not have clips. Like, I'm so used to the Sunday clips now, and the FM show just kind of starts up, like on the FM show I'll have, and now brought to you by ESPN affiliates, this is Riggy in the morning, or whatever the hell the show is, and then boom, it just starts up and you got something in the background. So I'm not used to just having music, so obviously once we get more clips accumulated, kind of like what we have with Satellite Sundays, we can sort of add that to the bottom of this. I don't even know what song this is. It doesn't sound, but I have no idea what this is. Oh, and it's just stopped abruptly.
And it's done.
Wonderful. Yeah, it just stopped on its own. Didn't have to fade it again. So that always works. So Brianna's got her last final. It's just handing in a paper and things like that. So I'm going to shoot her a message, make sure she knows. She said something about handing my for the last hour. She's like, yeah, I have to hand in a paper and take a survey. And I was like, well, hey, why don't you call in, chat with us from 11 to 12, or 11 to 11:45, turn in your paper, keep us on mute, take your survey, then come back. But I don't know. Jason's going to be calling in. Women, you never know. Jason's going to be calling in, talking to us a little bit at 12 o'clock as well. No Dustin today. He's got daddy duty today, so...
so no Brady Manning wars with me. Okay, I'll take a day off.
We don't have Brady on the agenda. We have bigger and better things to talk about today.
Brady's on every agenda all the time, Chris. You just got to realize.
Well, you live in New England, that's why. I mean, when you live in Massachusetts, Brady is always on the agenda because that's just how Brady is. So it's one of those things where I'm looking at. We do have some football though. We do have some football. Yeah, so we're back to the normal format. We are being simulcasted today. Yippee! Unfortunately,
awesome.
It's not like the Sunday game where the Sunday game. Look at me, I'm already in sports mode. It's not like the Sunday show where it's live on Sundays. They're gonna play us whenever the hell Bristol decides to play us. So I don't know, 1:30, 2 a.m., something like that. No, I'm just kidding. It won't be that late, but it'll probably be later in the day. NBA playoffs are going on all day today, at least on our station anyway. And as of now, what do they got on right now? Russo, Canelo, something like that. I don't know. I'm never in my car at this point, and I don't feel like walking across the hall to listen. So, so we're here again. This is Sports Roundup. Jeremy's going to be back. I believe he's done with school next week at some point. So we are going to be talking a little bit about a lot of things today. Joe had to step out for 1 second, but Joe will be back. The potential sale of UFC. Now, this has been a big, big thing all over the place. It has been big in ESPN, Fox, CBS. It doesn't matter what avenue you look at. This has been huge. Potential sale. It is a rumor of a sale. It is something that, the Dana White, the president, the guy who created this whole conglomerate of UFC, is denying vehemently. Okay, he's saying no, there's no truth to these rumors. We're not for sale. But there's a lot of creeping rumors, and oftentimes the internet's not wrong. The internet is oftentimes correct about these things. And, I'm looking at this like, okay, UFC, what do they have possibly to lose here? I mean, they were bought for $2 million. They're worth $3 billion at this point. I mean, if I'm Dana White, why the hell not? $3 billion. You can be one of the select few in this world who's a billionaire. Joe, you back with us?
I am back. Sorry about that. Hello.
I don't know what the hell happened there, but
I know what happened. It's on my end. My mistake.
Do you have what do you got out there in Massachusetts? Chata?
No, I've got RCN. RCN Wi-Fi. Let's just say someone else in the household decided to use the phone at the wrong moment. Someone's going to get yelled at later. That's about all.
They're going to get a paddling? Yeah.
There might be paddling. Take them out to the shed.
Paddling involved? Yeah, I got you. Is it a male or a female?
It's a female.
Okay, all right. Well, that's always the best kind then.
Right.
So I was getting into the potential sale of the UFC.
Right.
Now this has been something on our station. It's been covered on every news media outlet that covers sports in the least bit. It has been vehemently covered, and I was sort of going into my little dissertation while you had stepped away for a second. This is one of those things where they were bought for $2 million back in the day. It was one of those things that nobody really cared about. I mean, $2 million seems like a lot to the common man, but really, when it comes to big business like this, it's really not that much.
No.
You look at $2 million. You look at $2 million. It was bought for it. It was a blood sport. People thought it wasn't going to last. People thought UFC was going to be, sort of a niche thing. And
How long ago
look at it
was
now.
that, Chris? In the
Before I can
mid-90s, maybe? Oh, you don't have to top
20
your head
years
up.
ago now.
Yeah, there you go, mid-90s then roughly. Because I've been slow on the uptake with UFC, but over the past couple of years, I've gotten much more into it.
UFC Ultimate Fighting Championship. It was founded in November of 1993.
Uh-huh.
So it's not even mid-90s, early 90s.
Right.
And I mean, people were still wearing like those waist jeans, and the like women still had jeans that were like no butt. They were just kind of like like straight back. Yeah,
Yep.
they weren't wearing that kind of stuff. They were wearing Converse All Stars as casual jeans. So but I won't even go into my beef with Converse. So I'm looking at this as okay, $3 billion now is what it's worth. Billion with a B. And yeah, I understand. Dana White is like, no, it's not for sale. It's not for sale. This is all just rumors. But the internet has this weird, uncanny ability to be correct about things.
Right.
The internet seems to leak things that whether or not Dana's ready to announce it now or not, if the internet says it's right, there's about a 50-50 chance that it's correct. And it's gaining some steam right now with people, and there's two ways you could spin this. I mean, it could be for sale, in which case you'd be a billionaire and you'd probably get some rich, I don't even know, like a Warren Buffett type dude who would buy it. It would probably go to shit, to be honest with you. Then there is the idea that this is just a publicity stunt, because after all the complaining that Dustin did, after all the whole articles and everything that people did for our site on the Conor McGregor thing, that was all a publicity stunt. McGregor had no intentions of retiring, but UFC just wanted their name talked about. They wanted to be, relatively, relevant, I guess. Again,
Right.
I mean, not that it's not relevant, but they, want to have their name constantly out there. They constantly want reminders. Hey, we're here. We're UFC. We're not WWE. We're better. And the fact that now ESPN covered WrestleMania, they covered, they're covering a lot of the WWE pay-per-views now. There is a lot more professional wrestling in the limelight than there used to be. I mean, back in the Attitude Era, I don't know how big of a wrestling fan you are, but back in the Attitude Era, obviously that's when it came to its peak. But a lot of it was inappropriate to put, the ESPN would never think of covering something like that. And now, you got like Bellator and you got these other MMAs. And unless it's a pay-per-view, it's on like Spike or something. You're not going to see an MMA match on ESPN. So
No.
I think part of it is going to be, well, why? Part of it, I think, is somebody up in the suits up there at the UFC headquarters is thinking, well, why is professional wrestling getting so much attention when that's scripted and fake and this and that, and we're not? So hey, UFC's for sale. Now what's happening? Every news media outlet in the country is saying, "Oh, is UFC for sale? What's going on? Well, is UFC? What's the deal?" And all of a sudden, people talk about it for 2 weeks, and then it just fades away, and people forget it was ever brought up. And then they get their publicity and don't have to spend 10 cents on marketing.
Well, and I think that you're right, but I don't think it is strictly what you're saying, strictly a marketing ploy. Someone up there going, hey, let's just put it out there. It could be, but I don't think so. I actually think that, and this comes from experience, having seen how organizations, teams, businesses sell themselves, okay, or put themselves on the market. let's just put it this way. If someone, I think Dana White said it best. I'm actually going to take him at his word. I know it's a dangerous thing to do with him. Not that he's a liar, but he'll say whatever it takes to get publicity.
Pretty upfront.
But what he said,
pretty upfront.
His quote here is on the Dan Patrick Show. He said, "Yeah, we're not up for this." Dana White. Yeah, we're not up for sale. We're always working on deals in our expansion globally. I've been saying since this thing came out, no, we're not for sale. But let me tell you what, if somebody shows up with $4 billion, we can talk. We can definitely talk. I think something like the UFC is always for sale to a degree. Let's just say 6 months at a time.
Funny.
It goes through certain phases where if somebody has the right deal, Dana White will walk away probably a billionaire, frankly. If someone comes and wows them with $4 billion, more than that, they're going to seriously talk to him and say, okay, well, that's a shitload of money. Let's talk about it. So putting these things out there in the media serves two benefits. One, it certainly gets you the media attention. It's getting us talking about it. It's getting a lot of internet play. But two, it puts the word out there that if anyone actually does want to come and dump a truckload of cash on us, we'd certainly listen. And, when something like this gets bought, does Dana White get ousted? I don't know. I know he's the president.
He's probably going
to
set up a deal where he can. Well, he's probably going to set up a deal where he's still involved. I mean, it was his baby. It was
exactly.
his idea,
Right. So he's still involved. He's still getting paid, and on the side, he's got $800 million or something in the bank account. So I think it's a two-purpose thing. I think it actually technically is not on the market, but hey, if someone's interested, we'll listen to them and we'll take the publicity in the meantime.
And it's funny because you're not going to see a UFC match ever really on any of the ESPN family of networks, but yet the big story that ESPN wants to cover is UFC owners in advance talks to sell promotion. That was their big headline 2 days ago. White denies UFC, okay, but like you just said, Fox Sports reports if somebody has $4 billion, we can talk. Well, he also says we're working on growing the company. Well, what's the best way to grow? Bankroll, for sure. And if somebody is going to come in there with all sorts of money to throw around, a Warren Buffett or Jerry Jones type guy is going to come in with all sorts of cash, that's going to expand the company because you're going to have more marketing and have more revenue. You're going to have, ability to be in bigger arenas and, get on more TV deals, things like that. Money, it controls everything, unfortunately. So
yeah,
if
speaking of, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Well, no, I was going to say, money. It's all about the Benjamins, really, in a sense, because you can do so many things. Like you look at the Yankees, for instance. I know they're not. It's a sore topic with you being a New Englander, but out here, right? I'm assuming you guys have what? Like the Red Sox are they just on regular television or are they on NESN?
They're on NESN.
NESN, okay, but that's the New England
basic
Sports
cable.
Network, right? Yeah, it's
right.
basic cable. Everybody has NESN. It comes with your cable package when you live out there, right? Well,
correct.
Here, okay, the Yankees have now again their payroll is the largest in the league. They their batting order alone can probably buy 3 or 4 different franchises.
I think the Dodgers have a bigger payroll actually, but go ahead, sorry.
Now they do. They never did. But the Yankees payroll it's gigantic. I'm just using them as an example because I'm going to set this little tidbit up. The Yankees have such a big payroll. They have the Yes Network, which is the Yankees entertainment station, basically.
Systems or whatever.
Whatever it's called, Yes Network. All the Yankee games, unless they're playing on the road or unless they're playing the Red Sox, like a primetime game or something, that'll be on ESPN or Fox or NBC. But the Yankees have Yes Network, and they have their own television station. They have their own satellite radio station. They have their own, they were the first team to get an app out there. They have, the you go to that stadium and it's like it's not even a baseball stadium anymore. The old one was great. The new one is more like a museum than it is a stadium.
Is that right?
It's really the new stadium is just it's all about. Well, look at how much shiny stuff we have. They have those like when you watch a Yankee game, a home game, you see the seats right behind the back. What is it? Behind home plate there, and they've got they're like these big leather lounge chairs. Okay, I mean we're talking
how much are
digits.
those tickets? Yeah,
we're talking like high 3 to low 4-digit ticket. Empty, of course, but the new stadium is more. It's more tailored to the business fan. It's more tailored to the corporate parties and
rather than the hardcore baseball fan who's going to keep score on his notepad. Yeah.
Exactly. And they used to have the bleacher tickets. Like when I was growing up, they had you go sit out in the bleachers in left field, and it was $8 for a ticket or something like that. And it was, you go sit out there, you're right on top of the field. It's wild, it's crazy, it's this and that. Now the bleachers are pushed back behind Monument Park, and you can barely see anything in the bleachers. And those even now are like $40. So, it's money controls everything. And sometimes it's good because you get nice, shiny things and like, hey, look what I have. But sometimes, you get your own TV station, which is what UFC would really benefit from, having their own stations. They don't have to, pay royalty rights to Spike every week.
Right.
But money also ruin a company like that, because a company that's that small, and that even though it's a national thing, it's still sort of a niche thing. I mean, there are a lot of people out there who are hardcore sports fans who couldn't tell you the first thing about UFC, and they'll watch it every once in a while, or they'll watch the highlights, or they've heard the name Ronda Rousey, they've heard the name Conor McGregor. They've heard, they've heard names. But they couldn't tell you anything about statistics, win-loss record. They couldn't tell you rules in the octagon, things like that. So I think money could do wonders for the company, but it could also really eventually down the road destroy the company. I think the company
so?
is
I'm curious.
made to be small.
Statement. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, first of all, Chris, quick question. You touched on the popularity nationwide of UFC, and you call it a niche sport, and I agree with you on that. Where do you think it ranks? If we're going to rank the major sports, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far, but I'm curious what you think.
It's near the bottom of major sports.
Well, we've got football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer. Those are the top 5.
Soccer in this country, I mean, sorry, Airbird, but I don't know if you're familiar with Airbird. It's one of our writers, who's a soccer guy.
Yeah.
Soccer is, in this country, honestly, anybody that I know who watches sports only watches soccer during the World Cup or during the Olympics. They don't really follow.
Really? Okay.
Soccer,
I've got a couple of friends who watch EPL. They're not kind of into the MLS, but the EPL is still the premier product. And friends I have around here do get into the EPL. And maybe that has something to do with where I live a little bit. I don't know. But my one of my best all-time great friends, he's a big EPL fan, and he gets into MLS. And, well, with the New England Revolution being competitive, at least up until the past couple of years, generates some local interest around here. So I put soccer as 5. Where do you rank them?
Out of, how many are we talking? 5 out of what?
Well, I don't know. Out of 1, 2, 3, 4, the top major 4, the top 4 sports we know. I put soccer right behind them at 5, behind hockey.
Well, I wouldn't put baseball there. Because publicity amongst the core of sports fans. So, I mean, your demographic, your age group is, more maybe tailored to baseball. You grew up on baseball, still love baseball, you're still the baseball fan. My age group, unless you're a diehard fan of a certain team, not so much. And then my brother's generation, which are all millennials, he's going to be 21 in September, you couldn't pay them to watch a baseball game. So,
Chris, what are you, 30? 28, 30? What are you?
In August, I'll be 28, yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. Yep.
Yeah, I'm old. I was born in 88. I feel old. So it's one of those things where, you couldn't pay millennials nowadays to watch a baseball game because they'd rather be Snapchatting or texting or doing whatever. Like baseball games will even show you on the television. They'll even show teams sitting in the audience on their phone doing whatever, looking completely bored.
Yep.
It's and it's unfortunate now. Guys like Bryce Harper reinvigorating this and that, but there's a lot more left.
So baseball's not even top 4, you don't think, huh? You think soccer's more popular than baseball?
In terms of
nationwide?
No, soccer's not.
Okay.
No, soccer's not.
Hockey
I think it goes.
Hockey.
Yeah, now. No, hockey. No, not really. I think right now it's a 3-horse race. Right now you've got football is king. Okay, then you've got basketball. Now I'm going to include college basketball in that as well. Then so you've got pro football. I'm also going to loop in college football, but that might be me third. Then you've got basketball, which everyone has their favorite NBA team, also their favorite college team, things like that, because face it, not everybody goes to college, but everybody watches March Madness. And then third, I guess you can put baseball in there. It really depends on once you get out of football and basketball, it really comes down to fandom. It really comes down to what you prefer. Do you prefer hockey over baseball? Do you prefer baseball over hockey? Things like that. And then you've got soccer. But I would even say UFC is above soccer.
Ahead of soccer.
But it's ahead of soccer in this country. In this country, it is. But
right, of course.
I don't think that it holds a candle to baseball, basketball, football, simply because, any run-of-the-mill sports fan you could walk up to, and they'll be able to tell you at least a little bit about Kobe Bryant, Shaq, Michael Jordan, the legends at least. They probably wouldn't be able to tell you much about Ronda Rousey other than the fact that she was undefeated until recently. Even boxing, I think people follow a little bit more just because they've had more exposure to it. But, any run-of-the-mill sports fan will be able to tell you about Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Mike Tyson, Vander Holyfield, things like that, even if they don't necessarily watch it. So I think UFC is still a small company. I think UFC is still – put it this way. UFC is okay, you've got let's look at this. Let's say put it in a music perspective, okay? Football is Guns N' Roses, okay?
Okay.
Basketball is AC/DC. Baseball is, let's go with Twisted Sister, okay? And then you've UFC.
I like your choices.
Now UFC is actually no. You know what? I'm gonna say baseball's queen at this point, and then UFC is probably what, John Mayer. Okay, so it's one of those things where it's if you like it, great, you're a fan. But I don't think it appeals to the casual sports fan. And I think money will help that. Money will help with exposure. It'll help with ad revenues, marketing. It'll help possibly get them their own TV station. It'll help it so that pay-per-views aren't going to be $60 to buy, and you got to watch a bunch of fights you don't care about before you get to the main one. I think that's where boxing got hurt. Because boxing, you're not going to see boxing on cable television anymore. Boxing is all about the big pay-per-views. That's where they make all their money. They market these Mayweather pay-per-views and all these things. And then
you had
$60.
You had the fight You had fights Saturday night on HBO. Oh, it was a pay-per-view though.
Exactly, and it's HBO,
Alvarez,
which is an extra package out of a lot of people's cable things. So,
right.
I mean, there's rumors that UFC is going to be setting up something like what WWE did, which is basically I pay $9.99 a month. And I can watch any, Monday Night Raw episode I want from any year. Okay, pretty much. I can watch replays of that Raw, SmackDown. I can watch, shows that they come up with. I can pretty much watch anything, and it's $9 a month or $10 a month. Okay, so I think UFC, they could possibly, with enough money, if somebody comes in for a $4 billion, $3 billion, whatever, could create their own network, could create their own. Their own basic social avenue for people to go on and watch things for much, much cheaper. And I think that, people watch UFC pay-per-views, but you're not going to be able to survive solely on pay-per-views. That's why boxing is fading out. People don't want to watch boxing, and especially nowadays when there's no more knockouts.
The heavyweight division is a joke. So.
Oh yeah, and then you got
the
middleweights.
The middleweights are where it's at right now in boxing too. Golovkin.
Yep.
Golovkin Alvarez. That's going to be a fight. Gennady Golovkin is an incredible middleweight. But anyway.
Well, you look at guys like Floyd Mayweather who just like to hug people the whole time, and so they have sort of phased out a little bit. I mean, unless you're a boxing fan, you're not necessarily probably going to know a lot about boxing or watch boxing. So it's the same thing with UFC, I think. Yeah, UFC might seem like it's huge, and they'll give you an update about it on ESPN every once in a while, and they'll give you, you'll see stuff on Facebook. People will be talking, hey, let's go to Hooters, watch the fight, blah, blah, blah. But it's not, it's not a huge avenue. It's not a huge revenue sport at this moment. I think Joe, unfortunately, conked out on me again here. I think his internet is acting up. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to have him call in with his cell phone because, again, he's having some connection issues. So, again, I'm not going to okay. Boom, boom. So, yeah, Joe, if you're with us, great. Sign in. If not, just call us on your cell phone. I'm a two-man show today here on Sports Roundup. Brianna, again, that's what happens when you deal with college. Not that Joe's a college kid. I'm just saying it's a two-man race because Brianna's got finals today, which do your thing, girl. You know, don't let us take you away from your academics. Same with Jeremy. He's got school today. Jason should be calling in around noon, talk to us a little bit about stuff. But I just think that with this, it's got to be publicity because Dana White, this is his baby. And really, when you put a price on something and you're willing to sell out, is it something that you really love? Because there are a lot of things that people have either created themselves or have, put all their hard work, blood, sweat, and tears into that they wouldn't have a price on. There are things that are priceless in this country, and that's the beauty of capitalism. So I just think that Dana White, if he sells out for $4 billion, most people would be like, "Oh hell yeah, I'm gonna take that $4 billion. I bought for $2 million. I'd sell. Hell yeah, I'd sell." And when it comes down to it, would I? I'm not in that position, so it's tough for me to say. Probably, but I just until that big check with all those zeros is slid across the table towards you, it's just so difficult to put yourself in that position. And if this is a publicity stunt, it's genius because they don't have to spend a single dime on marketing. Okay, they're getting all the national publicity that they want. All they have to say is, "Oh yeah, hey, UFC might be for sale," and everybody who even is remotely involved in the UFC world loses their mind. So this could be a genius marketing ploy, but it also could be a legitimate thing, and we might end up seeing some rich guy. I'm not even quite sure here the name. I think he said his name. I think it was a Hispanic guy. I gotta look again at the name of the guy who was possibly planning on buying it. But we're saying, oh, here it is. There. So they submitted bids. There's 4 bidders right now, at least being reported by ESPN anyway. But there are 4 potential bidders. One of them is the bid from WME IMG. Okay, China Media. So a Chinese company, corporation. Then there was, let me scroll. Oh, not yet. Just said he had to step out for a second, use the bathroom or whatever it was. But so I was saying that this would be a genius marketing ploy if it is just marketing. But as of right now, Lorenzo Ferrietta, with his brother Frank, they own more than 80% of business. Whoa, what is? Hold on a second, Joe. There we go. What that was, that was loud. Lorenzo Ferrietta, him and his brother Frank, they own more than 80% of business. At the last public acknowledgement, they're part of. If I look at it correctly, let's see. Again, this story is new to me. I don't follow it as much. Just know that it's a huge thing, which is why we wanted to talk about it. Blackstone is not considering a bid. There's 2 Chinese companies, Wanda and CMC. They cannot be reached to ask about it. But as of right now, the parent bid, the Ring Group is the one Ferry is in, and they've got their hands in a lot of different sports related, but a lot of different things, and they could potentially be one to basically. Right now it says investment bank Goldman Sachs. They've been representing Zuffa, which bought UFC in 2001 for $2 million. Okay. Now, yes, Dana White is the president, the CEO, the owner, blah, 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 but he's not financially the owner. Yeah. Yeah, I got you. You're here. So it is sources. It says sources with knowledge of the numbers presented to potential investors represented UFC's last full-year earnings in the $200 million to $250 million range before interest, taxes, appreciation, all that stuff. Investors were advised that new television which in 2019 could add an additional $250 million, blah, blah, blah. With Brother Frank, they've owned more than 80% of the business in the last they owned a good portion of UFC. They have their hands in a lot of things, but they own a good portion of UFC. They told CNN in December that the private company grossed about $600 million in revenue last year. Besides the Ferriettas, who are worth about $1.2 billion each, according to Forbes magazine, they have two other minority investors. So White and the Abu Dhabi government, which under its Flash Entertainment arm bought a 10% stake in the business for an undisclosed sum in 2010. There's a lot of different arms coming out now, and if it is something that's going to be sold, yeah, it's business, sure, but White is saying, yeah, if somebody offers me $4 billion, I'd sell. I mean, I got into the thing $2 million. That's almost like saying, you buy a whiskey, okay, for $60, and down the road somebody wants to give you $400 for it. It's sort of the same thing where, yeah, I'll give it to you. It's more than I walk in on. It's more than I got it for. Same thing like you Pawn Stars. Well, I got this at a garage sale for $3. Well, I'll give you $300. All right, deal. It's the same thing. I understand why people want to sell, but I also understand why somebody like Dana White, who's so passionate about the business and so outspoken and such a face out there in media, wouldn't want to. He said if someone shows up with $4 billion, we can talk. We can definitely talk. But I don't know. I mean, would he, with all these other arms that are invested in, with all the other investors and things that UFC has, would he really be getting a good chunk of that $4 billion? I don't know.
I don't know. Good question.
Because like I said, he basically said, and here's what Dana White said on the Dan Patrick Show. Yeah, we're not up for sale. We're always working on deals and expansion globally. I've been saying this since the thing came out. No, we're not for sale. But let me tell you what. If somebody shows up with $4 billion, we can talk. We can definitely talk. I think when he said that, that seemed like a number that was so grossly exaggerated that people are like, oh, $4 billion. Okay, it's UFC we're talking about. Well, there are 4 bidders on the table right now that are offering $3 billion. So, and one of them being the Ferriettas. So, who already have stake in the company. So, I mean, it's one of those things where, okay, is Dana White ready to take the buyout and step back? Because if these big arms, they end up saying, okay, we're going to give you this money. This is our money. We're going to invest in this, and we're going to build this. Will Dana White, from an ego level, be able to take a step back and not be involved in the business? Because a lot of the time, these shifty business deals, they end up taking you for everything you're worth here, and you end up being the outcast. Yeah, you got your money. You never have to work again a day in your life, but your baby that you built is no longer yours. And I just don't know from a pride standpoint if White can handle that.
Well, that's a really good question. And I also think that if they lost Dana White, if they did buy everything out and push him to the side and have some golden parachute deal, a year of consultation, how they do, and then you're out. If they lost Dana White permanently, I think that would be a big mistake by the new owners, first of all, because in my opinion, Dana White might be their number one star. He might be their most marketable personality. You've got Conor McGregor, you've got Ronda Rousey right now. Those are their 2 biggest stars in their stable, and then it's Dana White. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he busts his ass. He's made UFC what it is. He is the face of UFC. To not have Dana White, I don't think that's a good business decision. Sometimes the businesses buy a business and they'll recognize what makes that business tick, and they need that. Whether it's a person, a product, or whatever it is. In this case, it happens to be Dana White. I think they need Dana White in order to continue to grow and to continue to be relevant, to be the face of UFC, unless they have someone, who they're thinking about to replace Dana White. But I don't see how they could do that at this point. He's so well entrenched as the face of UFC, which in and of itself, I think is a problem with UFC. The face should be the Conor McGregors, the Holly Holmes, the Ronda Rouseys. it's Dana White in a way now, which I think is a little bit backwards. It's worked so far, but to step into the big leagues, you have to have superstars, and that's a whole nother topic. That's, I think, been one of the problems with UFC, and why it's not become bigger than it is the lack of crossover stars. You've got them, and I thought when Conor McGregor came along, I thought he was going to launch UFC into the stratosphere. I thought he was exactly what America
and then
needed
he lost.
In their UFC star, and then he lost.
Well, look at it this way, though. Rousey and McGregor, they each headlined 3 UFC events in 2015. Obviously, Rousey's title fight against Holly Holm in November, they set a new company attendance record. A month later, McGregor's title fight against Aldo in Vegas drew the promotion's second highest ticket sales in history. And now ticket sales for all of these events, between the two of them, they're grossing in more than $10 million in ticket sales. So, I mean,
gross.
Now, this went from, something that was started in gymnasiums to being done in arenas now. So, I mean, it's definitely grown.
It's done well.
You can't say that the company hasn't grown. The Chinese also have their hand in this. It's being reported, and I mean, I don't want to say it's unfortunate. I don't want to tick anybody off, but it's being reported right now that the company has been there's been Zuffa, who's the parent company. They formed a bit of a put it this way. They formed a bit of a congruence or I can't for some reason think of the word right now, but they're basically in with these 2 Chinese companies and have a little bit of the stock in there as well. UFC Vice President Gary Cook, he was the CEO of Manchester City, the soccer team from 2008 to 2011, so he's been involved in sports. Here it is right here. Another bidder, the investment firm China Media Capital. In October, they beat out the Daily and Wanda and national broadcaster CCTV to win the broadcaster rights for the Chinese Super League, the highest soccer in the country. In December, CMC, with another Chinese investment group, Critic Capital, bought 13% stake in a British soccer team from Manchester City, reported for $400 million. And then again, Gary Cook was the CEO of that team, blah, 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 blah. So it's not surprising the leading bid right now is said to be from China, as ESPN reports. Chinese companies, they made over $110.8 billion worth of deals in 2016, compared with $106 billion for all of 2015, according to Deallog, a financial market data provider. So the Chinese have their hands in this stuff. They're a nation that's always really been in on business deals, and a lot of stuff you might not think the Chinese have their hands in. They do. So this could be something where Dana White, if that's the case, could still be able to keep his hands in the UFC, because the Chinese they're not gonna completely take it off American television. I mean they're basically just going to be an ownership company that makes the final decisions financially, but White could still own it. Whereas, if it's one of those, run it, it's one of those things where if one of these American companies comes in, then they might be like, hey, let us take it off your hands for you.
So in a way, you'd rather have the Chinese owners to keep it as is, keep the money rolling in, let Dana White run it, and collect the profit.
Yeah, can't believe I'm saying that, but yeah. And, it's one of those things where I'm all about America and all that, but capitalism in a way is in certain cases of business is not necessarily the best. And
it can be destructive.
It definitely, for sure. But again, we don't know if this is real or not. ESPN is reporting this. This is all they're in talks. This is being talked about, but it's not something that is set in stone yet.
The $4 billion valuation is even $3 billion. That's one last thing I wanted to. It's monstrous. They say they have $600 million in annual? Where did I see that number? $600 million in annual gross revenue. Right? Is that what I saw?
Like that, yeah.
That's gross revenue in a year. That doesn't tell you how much money they're making. That's just what they're bringing in. They could be spending $580 million, which means they're only making $20 million a year. Which to you and me, that sets us up for life. But for a business like this, that's not that appealing. But that's neither here nor there. And those guys who are going to look at the books and see what the real numbers are going to evaluate it. But $4 billion? Look, the New England Patriots are valued at I think the most recent one was $2 billion. The Dodgers and the Yankees, they're valued even higher. The Red Sox, 1.8, 1.5, something like that. So $4 billion to buy the UFC. seems like an outrageous amount compared to
and there's really
some of these institutions that have been around forever in sport.
Yeah, and we're talking about different teams. I mean, obviously the NFL has 32 teams. Baseball's got 30 teams. These are institutions where there are so many different teams and so many different payrolls. UFC, unless you're a diehard UFC fan, has 2 people that anyone really cares about. I mean, so you're going to put that kind of money in the stake behind 2 fighters, one of which said he was retiring already because his friend died in the ring, and the other one was saying that she's not sure if she's going to fight again after the loss to home. So you don't even know if these 2 are going to be there for the long run.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, it's such a huge amount of money, and I'm terrible at math, so I'm not necessarily going to be able to put all the numbers together for you like somebody who's better at math would be able to do. But I definitely think that this company, from being a small niche market conglomerate company, or is now a conglomerate company, it has really come a long way. If this is a marketing ploy, if this is something, well, because who knows? They might just have investors, but he might be dangling a worm in front of a fish, really, at this point. And if he does that, every news anchor person in America who covers sports in the least bit is talking about this today. He's been talking about this yesterday. He'll be talking about it tomorrow. I know that on 104.5, the team, the ESPN station in my hometown, they're having ESPN's financial advisor come on and talk about this. He would be better about numbers. So, again, the Levac and Wolf show, 2 to 7, they are going to be at some point tomorrow with the financial advisor from ESPN. So, check into that. But it's one of those
they're doing that
things
because that's really that's what's the news part of it. Like if someone just said, "Hey, UFC is going to sell," big deal. When they put up the number $4 billion, that's one of the things that catches your attention. That's eye popping. That kind of valuation. That's why they're bringing in the financial guys to analyze this to see if that's a realistic valuation.
And it could be. I mean, if you're just reading the numbers alone right there from gross and ticket sales and pay-per-view sales and things like that, remember the whole tap-out thing, the shirts that they were selling? That started in mixed martial arts, So I think that this is either way, whether they sell the company and grow or whether this is a marketing ploy and have, people who might not necessarily be thinking about UFC that day now thinking about UFC. Either way, it's a genius marketing plan, and I think that right now the MVP of that company is Dana White. Speaking of MVPs, speaking of MVPs, Steph Curry got the unanimous MVP. First time ever that a unanimous MVP candidate in the NBA was announced. Shaq, I think he missed it when Shaq had his crazy. I think there was like 3 votes for Penny Hardaway or something like that. So he just missed it. I think LeBron James
never got it.
Jordan never got. Yeah, Jordan never got
Unbelievable.
it. I think Jordan was. Maybe it was Hardaway with Jordan. I don't remember, but I know Hardaway stole some votes from somebody. There was LeBron James during his crazy year when he got it. He missed it by 1. Somebody voted for one other. It's like there's never been a unanimous.
But why is it unanimous this year, Chris? I don't even think he's the unanimous MVP. So why was it so? Is it because of his personality?
Social media.
Such a nice
That's why.
dude. Yeah.
Social media, because he's so out there in the forefront, and the Warriors are so good, and this dude is scoring 30 points a game and hitting 9 threes, and he's just so polarizing of a player that I think that's probably one of the main driving forces behind it. But looking at this, okay, should we evaluate MVP, most valuable player? Because honestly, when it comes to, okay, if this was a contest for the best player in the league,
right,
the best shooter in the league, or the best whatever, sure, maybe Steph Curry, he holds that ticket. But now you look at most valuable, I don't think he's the most valuable player to his team, because look when he was out, this team's winning without him.
That's right. That's why I can't even believe it was unanimous, because I actually think, just off the top of my head, LeBron is more valuable to the Cavs, because without LeBron, they're a 6 seed probably. But I looked up the NBA most valuable, Wikipedia, take it for what it is, but this is what it says. The National Basketball Association Most Valuable Player Award is the annual blah, blah, blah award given since I have 2 the best performing player of the regular season. Now, that's the Wikipedia definition. That doesn't.
Well, and that's
different
pretty
than the
accurate
most
for what they
valuable
give it
player.
for.
Exactly, the most valuable player. Now we have this argument in baseball that comes up a lot. The MVP. So one year it went to Alex Rodriguez when he was in Texas in the early part of the century. He got an MVP on a team that I think they finished last place. Now, it was sort of a lifetime accomplishment award going to A-Rod. He hit like 56 home runs, and he'd been having great seasons and all that stuff. So he finally won his MVP. But can you have a valuable – but for a team that didn't even make the playoffs? Yeah, for the Rangers. Can you give an MVP to a player on a team that didn't playoffs? Steve Carlton back in the 70s won 27 games for the last place Phillies, and he won the MVP that year too. So it happens, but the argument is always out there. What does the MVP award really signify? What is it meant to award a player for? Being the most valuable player or just the best player that year? I think in the NBA, it is the best player.
Well, very rarely are you going to see, like in football, you're going to give the MVP 9 times out of 10 to a quarterback. Okay, Now even if the team isn't necessarily the best, but the quarterback has good stats, sometimes he'll get it. But oftentimes it's winning teams. Very rarely do they give it to a team who hasn't been winning or isn't in a playoff. That's why Super Bowl championships 9 times out of 10 you're going to be the quarterback. This year was Von Miller, but Von Miller definitely deserved it. I mean, Peyton Manning really didn't do anything. It's not the playoffs and wasn't even sitting for half the year. Osweiler didn't play in the game, so he couldn't get it. So I understand that one's a Von. But in this kind of a thing, this team is winning without him. This team basically won 2 series without him on the floor. And, I don't think the Cavs get past the first round without LeBron. The Cavs not. I mean, you got Kevin Love, they got Kyrie Irving, sure. J.R. Smith is actually playing well for once, but they just – I don't think that – like you said, they're probably a 6th seed without LeBron. The reason why they're the 1 seed in the East, LeBron James. Without him, and Dustin hates LeBron, but without him, the Cavaliers are nothing. Same thing with guys in Portland. Damian Lillard. That team's not a playoff team, or at least not the seed that they were with Damian Lillard.
Isaiah Thomas to the Celtics. With Isaiah Thomas, that team is nothing. Yeah, he's to the Warriors, maybe. But that a unanimous vote, if you're voting on the most valuable, is inaccurate.
Yeah, I definitely don't think he's the most valuable. I definitely think he is the best player in the league, perhaps. Overall, I mean, he plays great defense. All he really does is shoot 3 balls. He can drive to the lane every once in a while, but he's made it last. Dude gets hurt a lot. And, LeBron doesn't get hurt that often either. So that's almost like the discussion we had on Satellite Sundays a few weeks ago about, should Steph Curry have gotten Coach of the Year only coaching 39 games? It's the same thing. It's getting to winning teams. Everybody is in the Golden State back of their pickup truck right now. Everybody's on the bandwagon. They are. This has become, in a way, I know we sort of talked about this Tuesday with the Patriots, but this has become sort of America's team now in basketball. This team is as polarizing now to the American fans as the Bulls were in the 90s. I don't think that this is the same type from a physical standpoint, or really even from a talent standpoint all the way around. This is right now the team that America is voting for. I think LeBron lost a lot of respect. America can do this with his decision, quote unquote. Not that really people should care, but that's what they did. So I think that LeBron, yes, the most valuable player to his team, arguably probably the most valuable player to any team. Unless he's playing for the Spurs or the Warriors or something. But even a guy like Kevin Durant, are you telling me that the Oklahoma City is poised here to knock out the Spurs, which nobody thought was going to happen after losing by 40 or something like that in the first game? Are you telling me that without it was crazy? It was disgusting to watch, really. Are you telling me that Oklahoma City team is going to be the same without Durant or Westbrook or both?
Hell no.
And yeah, exactly. So I think the term valuable is what needs to be analyzed here. Because
exactly.
If you want to give him maybe the M or the it wouldn't be M, it'd be the BP award, the best player award,
best
or
player
whatever.
BP award.
Yeah, something.
Christmas
then
BP award.
Yeah, my BP award. It's the BM award for me lately. But they just it just doesn't make sense to me. And this is the first time it was ever unanimous.
That's what
and I
shocks
think
me the most.
and even last year he got it and it wasn't unanimous. So Curry, he was interviewed and stuff, and he says, and this is a Steph Curry quote. So every single game I try not to take for granted because you never know what could happen. A wet spot on the floor kind of put a scare in myself. So inside the lines what might happen. So you just try to stay in the moment, enjoy every opportunity you have that's right in front of you, and you live with that. Okay, so Mr. Curry is humble after getting all that. Even when he walked in, it was like, I'm back, and the whole thing. He once he got in front of the microphone, he was humble. He basically, I'm looking at this, the ESPN report, and basically 2 weeks ago when Curry fell and hurt his knee, it gave the NBA a small sliver of hope that perhaps the Warriors could get knocked out. Okay, now obviously they're in the Western Conference Finals and Curry's back, and I think it's going to be Cavs Warriors again. But do you think that they should wait this long? Like, they're the only real sport that gives an MVP out this late. I mean, sure, there's an MVP in the NFL. There's an MVP of the playoffs, there's an MVP of the Super Bowl, but the season MVP is given out the final week, right after the final week of the season during Pro Bowl week, before the Super Bowl. Now they're in the playoffs. Okay, should they, this deep into the playoffs, when they're not even done playing yet? Steph Curry, see, this is how the NBA, I think, what needs to be fixed. Yeah, not only does the valuable word need to be evaluated, but now Steph Curry could get this unanimous MVP, and it's unlikely, but who's to say he comes out and goes 0 for 10 his next couple games, and the Warriors get knocked out of the Western Conference Finals, and he just plays like complete crap. And now we're like, this is our MVP? I mean, we saw LeBron. LeBron got the MVP. It wasn't unanimous. LeBron got it, and then people were questioning his performance. And it's like, why not wait until everything is said and done, then give out the MVP award? Because you're not going to be an MVP if you don't perform in the playoffs. And Curry's really barely played this playoffs.
Time out. Chris, doesn't the voting close before the playoffs?
No, I don't think so.
It says here the best performing player of the regular season. My understanding of MVPs across sport is it's strictly for the regular season.
Well, why give it out now? Why wait?
Well, that's my question. Why give it out now? Why not give it out before the playoffs, or why not give it out after it's all been said and done? But
because either way, even if the voting did close before the playoffs, you give it to him now, and if they lose in the Western Conference Finals and he doesn't show up, okay.
But it's still for the regular season. Even if they stink in the playoffs, it's still for the regular season. But I see what you're saying. The perception of fans, if Curry goes goes 2 for 40 in his next 2 games or something like that, and they don't win and he stinks it, whatever the case is, that's the MVP, right? That does right. So why not? That's a tough call. When to give it out?
Yeah, I would give it out. I would have given it out before they started the playoff series, because when Curry went down in that playoff series, who knows? Every other sport does that. They give it out at the end of the regular season because it's for the regular season. They don't give it out, 3/4 of the way through the playoffs. So that's something that I'm a little confused about. I think obviously he got it unanimously because of the 73-9 record, and because he had, 40 points in that game or something crazy. And I think that, he's one of those players that can score 40 in the blink of an eye, and everyone's like, oh my God, he's the best player ever, and this and that, which is crap. But he's, the best player ever and all this. I definitely think that part of them winning 73 games also contributed to this unanimous voting. So, who knows? And that's the same discussion we had on Tuesday. Can you give an MVP, or can you give a greatest ever tag to the best player when it's not really an individual sport? Speaking of individual sports, coming up after the break, Bryce Harper suspended for 1 game, as I thought he should be. He's going to file an appeal. Should he just shut up and sit or play? Also, what's going on with baseball? Baseball's got a lot of issues that I really want to get off my chest because right now they're way behind the times, and they're sitting there wondering why. So we'll be back after this. This is the Sports Roundup.
Question. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? And would you seat them in a car seat that's not the correct one? Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. More info at safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Join parents and experts at Understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues designed to help you help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything. Brought to you by Understood.org and the Ad Council.
Think about it. You're on your phone every day. You're browsing websites, mobile apps, video content, social media, all to stay connected. Well, you know what? Someone's got to produce that content. Should it be you? Get the hands-on learn by doing training at Connecticut School of Broadcasting in months, not years. We've placed thousands of grads coast to coast. Day and evening classes begin soon. Connecticut School of Broadcasting with 12 East Coast campuses from Massachusetts to Miami. Visit GoCSB.com.
All right, everybody in the car, let's go.
What are we going to do first when we get there, Mom? Go for a hike?
Sure, if you want.
What about canoeing? Can we go canoeing too?
I don't see why.
What about a bike ride? No, I want to fish.
Okay.
I've never been fishing.
Honey, we can do it all.
How long does it take to get to the forest?
It's not.
Is it going to be long?
No, sweetie.
I bet it takes forever.
It's not that far.
Are we there yet?
Yep, we're here.
Already? No way. Come on.
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Hey everybody, Rachel Ray here. Nothing puts a bigger smile on my face than cooking up a big meal for family and friends. But there's not enough room at my table for the 17 million kids in America who are struggling with hunger. These children, that's 1 out of every 5, often have to skip meals because there's just nothing to eat in the kitchen. Yet there's more than enough healthy, nutritious food produced right here in America to feed every last hungry child. If only there was a way to get it to them. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks collects surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families all across our country. But they can't do it without your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America at your local food bank and at feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Capital District, do you realize that you spend about a third of your life on your mattress? Why sleep with constant back pain, uncomfortable sleeping arrangements when you can get a Teller's mattress? Again, that's Teller's mattress, the best Serta 5-star quality mattresses for the cheapest wholesale price possible. You can't beat these anywhere. Call Ellen Teller at 518-880-BEDS, 518-880-2337. And get sleeping today. In fact, I'm lucky that I made this show today. I have my Teller's mattress, and it's awfully tough when especially when there's somebody else in the bed with you. It's definitely tough to get out of the bed, and I can stretch out on my big queen, and it's like, So again, call Teller's mattress. He makes deliveries everywhere. He's a local upstate New York dealer right now, but he'll go anywhere, sell to anyone. And if you're looking for a new bed, make sure it's tellersmattress.com, 518-880-BEDS. Give him a shout today. Also brought to you by Northeast Snowplow Repair up in New Hampshire. Go in and give them a check. They do everything. They have summertime too. If you need your plow repaired, whatever, they'll help you out. Go see Mr. Bork's father up there in New Hampshire. So Bryce Harper was suspended for 1 game. I kind of went on a little bit of a rant talking about I thought he was way out of line. I didn't realize he had gotten ejected previously, so that is why he was a little upset with the ump. But still, you don't do that I mean, just let it go. I understand that, you're upset, it's whatever, but to hunt down somebody and specifically point them out on television after a win, it's just not something that I thought helped the integrity of the game. So now, to appealing it, he's pulling a Tom Brady and appealing this and fighting this. It's not like Tom Brady where he's going to miss 4 games of the season and the team's going to be hurting without him. It's one game. They play 165 of them. Well, there's 2, but still. They play. He's going to be playing from now until the end of September, and you're going to appeal one game? It's like, dude.
It's come out that he's appealing it, Chris? He is appealing it?
He plans to, yeah.
Hey, that's the wrong move. I agree with you on that, man.
Like,
Come
dude,
on,
just shut up
Bryce.
and sit,
Yeah, man, take your medicine, bro.
And so basically, Harper, as reported by ESPN, Harper, the reigning national MVP, there's that old MVP word again. Is he really the most valuable to the Nationals when they haven't done anything? He's elected to file an appeal. He was in the lineup and batted third against Detroit, but it also happened to be it also happened to be Bryce Harper MVP bobblehead night at Nationals Park,
right.
which I thought was kind of funny. Harper had some things to say about it. He says, "I think the union, they'll take care of all that and figure out what happens." He said after Wednesday's 3-2 win for Detroit. I think that the only person that I'm upset at was that my mom saw it. I told her I'm sorry. I texted her after the game. So I think that those are certain things that happen. You learn. There's nothing that I can do. So Bryce, I understand Mama's upset with you. Don't go that way either. Don't say, "Oh, well, I'm just upset my mom saw me act that way." Well, what about the other 10 million fans who still act that way? Like, I just think that you're polarizing. You bring fun aspect to the game. That's not going to do it. Now, I'm all for being pumped up, being emotional, being into the game, but I'm not for disrespect like that, because it's a thing where he came back on the field and he was, I don't know, he wasn't even supposed to be there. He's supposed to be back in the locker room. He wasn't even supposed to be on the field. He's been ejected that night. They won in the walk-off. You're supposed to be taking a shower and putting street clothes on. You're not supposed to be out on the field. So, there's a bunch of things that happened. But my question is, if he's suspended for that, okay, and we clearly read his lips. We clearly know what he said. He specifically hunted down an umpire and said some choice words that anybody who has ever communicated in English in this country could read his lips. So we know what he said. Why wasn't your boy there, Big Papi, for when he freaked out about the call against the Yankees a couple games ago? And, obviously the manager got tossed out, which was a good job of him kind of getting in the way. Don't let your star get tossed out.
Yeah, he did a good job there. You're right.
And then he comes back out and starts freaking out, gets in the ump's face, flips out, has to be restrained, the whole thing. Why is Big Papi not suspended, or is he? Maybe I'm missing something.
No, he's not, and that's actually a really good question, man. That's a double standard, because what Papi did that night is maybe a
lot more egregious.
Yeah, but here might be the difference. Papi, it was an emotional outburst in the spur of the moment. He was reacting to what was happening at the moment. Yes, he probably used many choice words, similar, if not exactly, to what Bryce Harper used. But here's the difference. Harper singled out the ump after he had been thrown out and used those choice words, pointed at him directly. It was it's like the difference between murder and manslaughter. Okay? Murder is a pre-planned kind of killing of a person. Manslaughter is you killed somebody by mistake. Papi was manslaughter. He was just reacting in the moment. Harper's was pre-planned. I think that might be the difference. I don't know. That's the only thing I can see, because, yeah, you're right. Papi came out and said didn't come out. Papi responded and had some really bad words, worse than what Bryce Harper did. Much worse. And for a longer period of time, Harper's was pre-planned, premeditated. That might be the difference.
He's harder to understand, though, too. You don't know what the hell he's really saying.
Right. Some of it was in Spanish, so you couldn't really.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, is for those of you who may not know the rules of ejections in baseball, when you're tossed out of the game, you have to leave the dugout. You have to go back, take a shower, hit the bricks. You're done for the day. Leave the stadium. Nobody cares anymore. He came back onto the field after an ejection, still fully in uniform. He never really left the dugout, I don't believe. I mean, maybe he did, but he obviously had planned on coming back on the field if they won. Why is that not also being addressed? Because if Harper was in the dugout, why was the game not stopped? And the ump was like, "Hey, I tossed you. You got to go." I don't know the details of that. I don't really get to watch a lot of Nationals games, so I don't know if maybe he did leave and came back. I don't know. But the fact that he came back onto the field, and so he blatantly broke. Well, yeah, but he blatantly broke a rule. Okay, it was an ejection rule, which you're not supposed to be in uniform anymore. You're not supposed to be in the dugout. You're also not allowed back on the field for the remainder of the game. Okay, so that's one rule that he broke. He hunted down an ump, had some choice words for him, and was on national television. Everybody saw it because when you're the Nationals, all the cameras are on him. Everybody saw it, and so that's boom. That's strike number 2. Then coming out and saying that, he says in an interview after the game, if I get fined, I'll pay it. Maybe Knight will get fined too. So we'll see. Knight being the umpire. So he just basically really doesn't have any remorse. He's just I
that's
did
another part of it. Yep.
Yeah, he's just like,
I did those comments.
Exactly. He's like, I did it. Oh well, big deal. Who cares? You know? And so, but then, okay, so you get a 1-game suspension. You have the longest season of any major professional sport, and you're worried about missing 1 game. You're going to file an appeal for 1 game. Now, I know that the players' unions and things. I know the NFL players' union is annoying, but I know that a lot of the players' unions step in these cases. But there were a lot more egregious things, like the Big Papi thing, that didn't get slapped with suspensions. And, he could be missing a lot more time than 1 game. And maybe, in a sense, he should be. But what I like is that Commissioner Manfred didn't back away. I mean, this is arguably the most polarizing player in the game right now. This is arguably the face of baseball right now. And Manfred to go, you know what? You're not going to act that way. You're getting suspended. I would be a lot more distasteful towards the situation if, Joe Blow on the Padres, did something and got suspended, and then Harper did this and didn't. Then I'd be like, oh, okay, well,
that would be an issue,
and that's why, yeah. But the fact that Harper got hit with this shows that nobody is really safe to break rules anymore, which is good. I mean, I understand, okay, the bat flip thing, which they're trying to outlaw, which I think is stupid, but
ridiculous.
It's like, who cares? The guy hits a home run, let him flip the bat. They're making all this money. But regardless, there are things in the league that I'm shake my head about, but then there are things where you have blatant disrespect for that. I'm okay with a bat flip. I'm okay with a fist pump when you steal a base. I'm okay. I'm even okay with saying, bleep yeah, on television, and you've got your, and everyone can read your lips, but you're excited, you're pumped up, you slide into third base, or you get a run and you're pumped up, and you say some things on TV and we can read your lips, but it's out of emotion and you're excited. Sure, I'm okay with that. I've plenty of times I've said things that people could hear during sporting events that just out of sheer excitement and emotion and adrenaline. But when it's, like you said, when it's a premeditated negative attack, when you're not even supposed to be back on the field, he was supposed to be in flip-flops and shorts at this point, but he's still in his cleats, still in his uniform. He had gotten thrown out several innings earlier, so he should have been done with his shower by then. He should have watched the walk-off on television. I think that Manfred sort of did him a favor by only giving him 1 game. But if you plan to appeal, it's like, dude, really? It's just showing that you don't think you did anything wrong, and you sort of think that you're above the rules and that you should be able to get away with this kind of stuff because you're the guy.
Well, you bring up the NFLPA, the MLBPA, the strongest sports union in the world, and I wonder how much of it is them digging in their heels on a superstar just to prove a point. It's all in the news these days. How much power do commissioners have? I don't even want to get into Roger Goodell, but you know what I'm talking about, okay? Cool. So maybe baseball, the players' union is looking at that and saying, okay, with Tom Brady, Tom Brady and his crew and the NFLPA, they've dug in their heels and they're filing appeal after appeal to attempt to limit
and they
the
won
power
the first one
of Goodell. And they what?
And they won the first one. Yeah.
Exactly, they did. And now the Major League Baseball Players Union is looking at that and saying, we have to dig in our heels to Bryce. It's saying to Bryce, hey, listen, we need you to file an appeal. And ultimately, I think it is the players' decision, but he could be being strongly influenced by the Players Union as a way to continue to prove their strength and strengthen their standing when it comes to disciplining their players. It might be that because one game out of 162, it's nothing. I mean, he might take a game just to rest anyway. You know what I mean? It's not even a punishment in a way. So if you're Rob Manfred and you're going to suspend somebody, make it a suspension that's going to have some impact, really. And the other piece of it is I do think now that we've fleshed it out a little bit more, I do think that the suspension is related to the violation of the rules too. I bet Manfred saw that and said he'd been thrown out of the game and he's still in uniform and he's that close to the dugout to be able to jump out and get into the group and celebrate with his teammates. He wasn't obeying the rules, and that combined with what he did, suspension. Whereas
there were issues.
Didn't have those. Yeah.
Well, no, but see, Poppy was thrown out in the ninth, and part of the reason why I was like, oh, dude, shut up, was because it's the ninth. Okay, and it's like there's 2 outs in the ninth, and it's like, what is you arguing going to do? You struck out the ninth inning, you're down by a run, and it's like, if you get thrown out in the 4th inning, okay, sure, you missed the whole of the game, but it's the 9th inning, dude, And
it was just an emotional outburst. It wasn't going to achieve anything, no.
But what I didn't realize, again, I didn't see the game, and I've been so busy, I haven't really been following headlines as diligently as I normally do. The 9th inning as well. USA Today reports that home plate umpire Brian Knight ejected Harper for arguing from the dugout during the 9th inning. So it wasn't a call that he it wasn't like Big Bobby. He struck out and he was doing a call from the dugout yelling something. And so before Harper could hit the proverbial showers, Clint Robinson hit a walk-off home run and Harper joined the celebration in home plate, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Bryce Harper, when asked about cursing the umpire, he says, in quotes, and it's on USA Today, you can read it, he just said, so what? Okay. Which is all terrible. Now Harper will be eligible to play for Nationals until this appeal is heard. And given the quick timeline of Monday's events, he likely has a decent chance that the appeal is upheld. But for those of you who may not know the history of this kind of thing, Ian Kinsler was suspended in September of 2010 after returning to a field for a walk-off celebration following an ejection. He appealed and won. Okay. Also, the Kinsler situation in 2010 is not identical to Harper in that there was no expletive directed towards an umpire. All Kinsler did was get thrown out, didn't leave the dugout, came back and joined, partook in the celebrations afterwards. He didn't hunt down an ump and say things like Harper said to him, so it's a little bit different. But he won his appeal after sort of doing the same thing, getting thrown out. And
how many games was his suspension for?
I believe it was only 1. I can check though. I believe it was only 1. And I think that's what they're trying to draw similarities to here, was that he was suspended doing that, and he ended up winning the appeal. Now, again, he didn't, do the things that Harper did, but,
I bet you Harper wins his appeal, too.
Oh, of course he'll win his appeal.
It's only 1 game. I think MLB they made their point, that this is not something we want, but they only threw a 1-game suspension down. It's almost like,
why bother?
Like go to the corner of your room for 15 minutes. You know what I mean? It's like it's barely
and it wasn't
barely even anything.
It was a 1-game suspension.
This was a 1 game, yeah. Listen, Bryce Harper. On was a Tuesday show we were talking about this. I love it. You were more down on.
I love the adrenaline and the emotion, sure.
But you thought he took it too far.
Well, yeah. Well, when you point out an umpire on national television and say what he said. He very easily could have been thrown out and just said, crap, all right, whatever, I'm thrown out, big deal. And you might have these reservations about a particular person, an umpire, but you just join in, you celebrate with your team, and you hit the showers and forget about it and go back the next day. Yeah, it sucks, and yeah, you're mad, but you don't have to do that. Because now he's got to go through the suspension, he's got to go through the appeal process, he has every news outlet in the country talking about it. And he actually looks more negative in this sense. Everybody gets ejected at one time or another in baseball. Not everybody, but you know what I'm saying. People get ejected in baseball. Sure. It happens.
Yeah.
They don't always do what he did. And I think that Harper feels like he's above the law. He feels like he's above the rules.
And
That's
does.
almost like, well, yeah. Well, we'll look at it this way. Look at the umpires as police officers. Okay, if you, I guess the best analogy you have here is let's say you get pulled over for talking on your cell phone. Okay, which I don't know if it's illegal in Massachusetts. It's illegal in New York to talk on your cell phone. You have to hold an electronic device, like if you have GPS on your phone. And
no, that's not illegal.
Oh, okay. Well, in New York, you can't even have it in your hand. You have to have it on a stand or on the seat, which actually makes it unsafe. Then you're looking down at the seat next to you, and your eyes are off the road. But if you're holding up something, let's just say in this sense you're texting, right, or something, and the cop pulls you over, and he gives you a break, and he says, you know what, I'm just going to let you out of here with a warning. Don't do it again. I'm gonna give you a ticket, or I'm gonna give you a. Oh no, actually, you know what he'll do? He'll say, you know what? I'm gonna give you a ticket for. Let's say you got a sticker on the back of your car. Let's say, and I'll be like, look, I'm not gonna give you the cell phone ticket, because that's points on your license and everything. I'm still gonna write you a ticket, but it's for illegal sticker on the back or something. It's just gonna be a small fine and everything. Just go to court, get it handled.
No sticker on the back of their car. That never happens.
I'll get there. Give me 1 second. So everything I say, all my analogies have a point. I'll get to that in a second. So he's like, oh, let's say you have an illegal sticker in the back of your car. It's no points. It's just a fine. Go to court, get it taken care of. Big deal. And you go, okay, yeah, thank you, sir, whatever. Then you pull away. First thing you do is pick up your phone again. Okay, and you're like, oh, screw this guy. I'm just going to keep it. I was in the middle of a text message. F him. He pulls you over again and then gives you a regular ticket. And then you're like, dude, what the hell? You're a jerk, blah, blah, blah. And you start giving him lip. It's the same. It's really the same thing. It's like, okay, you broke the law. You blatantly broke, the rules. And then you're gonna give your child son as a jerk because he's upholding that. And that's really the analogy that I have here. Harper is 100% in the wrong here. He should have been he should have left, and he should have. I mean, you know how many games the Nationals are going to win this year? They're going to be a playoff team. Yeah, something like that. So they're going to be a playoff team. One walk off, big deal. Okay, yeah, it happens. It's a guy that doesn't hit him very often, but it happens. Just go in the dugout, man. Go in the locker room and get an early steer shower. Who cares? You got the longest season in any major professional sport. This is going to happen again eventually down the road. But the sticker thing, I actually was on Interstate 88 going from Albany to Binghamton and for something for work, and I speed limit out there 65. Usually they give you 75 in a 65. They usually give you 10 over. Now, he claims he pulled me over for speeding, and perhaps I was, but he perhaps I was only like 78, I think it was, something like that, so it was something stupid. The cop goes, hey, look, I'm not going to give you a speeding ticket because obviously that's points on your license. I'm going to cut you a break here. Because he was respectful with him. I was nice with him and everything. But I have a Dallas Cowboy sticker up at the top corner of my Jeep. The top corner, left-hand corner, it's a little Dallas Cowboy star logo. And he goes, do you know in New York State it's illegal to have, stickers on the back windshield? He goes, it impairs view, it inhibits view, and it's something that, you can't have. So here I am thinking, all right, well, I'm going to have to peel this sticker off on the side of the highway. Oh, great. No, didn't have to do that. I just got a ticket and, I just have to go to court, pay a fine, but don't have to, I didn't get the actual speeding ticket. So that's where it is. I don't think it's something that they actually can pull you over for. The cop was helping me out and not giving me a ticket for something like that. So, so you said, oh, it's not illegal to do that. No, I don't think that it is, but, I think the cop was just helping me. Jason is here on the line with us. Jason, we didn't pull you away from anything important, did we?
What's going on?
How are you? We didn't pull you from anything important, did we?
No. You guys are good. I was just running into work, grabbing my coffee.
What's up, Jason?
For you guys. What's going on?
Yeah, Jason.
Doing the usual, man.
Yeah, Brianna had a final today. Jeremy's got school. We're going to be back with the full crew next week, but we figured we wanted to get your take on a few things. Just to recap, because we got to go to a commercial real quick, and then we have some pretty juicy stuff to get to after the next break. But we've only taken one commercial break, so we're supposed to be a little bit have done it by now, but I'm long-winded in everything that I do. So we talked a little bit about Steph Curry getting the unanimous MVP. Okay, now most valuable MVP. Okay, most valuable player. Arguably, Steph Curry might be the best player in the league. Whatever. Okay, that's an argument for a bar room somewhere else. But most valuable. Can you honestly say that he's the most valuable player to that Warriors team? I mean, they've basically won 2 playoff series without him. Is he the most valuable player? That team is still a 1, 2, or 3 seed with him.
Which is funny because you think about it, they just won this series, and you would say Steph only played 2 games, but for the first round and a half, they was pretty much demolishing their competition. And I said it before, I don't even think he's the most valuable player on his team. I think that honor goes to Draymond Green.
Exactly. So why does he get unanimous MVP for the league?
Yeah,
first time ever.
That's mind-boggling to me. Think about all the years Jordan's been dominant. Think about the Shaq and Kobe era. There's always been somebody worthy of a vote. You're telling me Russell Westbrook, Durant, even Draymond Green, nobody was nominated for at least a vote? I mean, even if you think about the general election, somebody always votes for a jackass. No pun intended.
Yeah. Well, you talk about his. Well, you talk about not being the most valuable on his team. I think Iguodala could be up there as well.
Absolutely.
When Pedro Martinez didn't win the MVP in the year 2000, I mean, 2 guys from New York voted against it. So there's always somebody. You're right.
There's always somebody. The idea that he got a unanimous is just mind-boggling to me.
Now, could
Ditto.
Could LeBron James be possibly the MVP? Because I mean, he's more valuable to the Cavs, as Joe pointed out before. That Cavs team isn't. They're not where they're at. They might be a 6th seed, might not even be a playoff team without LeBron.
Jason, Isaiah Thomas is more valuable to the Celtics. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Isaiah Thomas. I agree with that. I agree with that too. I think Isaiah Thomas is more grateful to the Celtics as well. But I think I would say LeBron is more valuable to the Eastern Conference. Good Lord, imagine if LeBron was not in the East.
Oh, it'd be a free for all.
Yeah.
Toronto would
it basically is with LeBron. It basically is with LeBron. Jason, real quick, we're going to get your take, and then I got something I want to ask you after the break here. I know you're a gambling man and everything, so I want to get your take on it. But real quick, Bryce Harper suspended for 1 game for the expletives at the umpire. We come to find out he was ejected in the 9th, never left dugout, which is violation number 1, then comes back out on the field to celebrate, and then hunts down the umpire. You've seen the clip. Everybody's seen the clip by now. Gets a 1-game suspension. He's filing an appeal. Should Bryce just shut up and take the 1-game suspension out of the 1 that he's going to play, or is Harper making a case here?
He should definitely take the 1-game suspension. It's one thing to get thrown out the game. I never even knew before that you could come back on the field after a walk-off.
You can't.
And then
you're done. You're going to the showers. You cannot step foot back in the field during that regulation game. So that's a violation of the rules there. And we saw it in 2010. Ian Kinsler did it. He got a 1-game suspension. He appealed and won. Okay. So had Harper just done that, fine. But the fact that he hunted down the ump and said those things that he said on national television afterwards, it was like, why take and he has no remorse about it. He's like, yeah, it happened. Okay, big deal. Why do something like that and put a negative stain? You are baseball now. Baseball is on its deathbed without you. A black mark on yourself like that?
Harper likes to be the villain. He's trying to be the villain, man. That's what I think.
What made it worse is that, what made the whole situation worse was like, you're the best player in the sport, and you just went out there and carried yourself like a jackass. I mean, it's one thing to be like, F you. He should have just, give him the finger, at least or something. He didn't have to go, before he went to go congratulate his teammate, he went straight to the direction of the ref, the ump, and said, F you.
Yeah, he went to the ref first, or the ump first, before going to congratulate his teammate, which is Ridiculous. Well, after the break, we're going to get to Jerry Jones has been interested in having a team in Vegas for a long time. He was one of the big advocates of bringing the team back to L.A. He calls the city a real crown jewel. Jerry Jones had some choice words about the Raiders potentially moving, but also so did Goodell. And Goodell brings up a good point for once. This is for Jason. He's a big NBA guy. Are we in favor of the lottery system? Does the lottery actually help parity? Or in the case of what we're going to see this year, does it hurt it? We'll be back after this. You're listening to Sports Roundup.
The only thing more exciting than watching sports is being a part of the action, working in a career in sports broadcasting. And there's no better place to get the training you need than at Connecticut School of Broadcasting. We've placed thousands of grads in rewarding careers coast to coast. We're enrolling now for day and evening classes that begin soon. Connecticut School of Broadcasting with 12 East Coast campuses from Massachusetts to Miami. Visit gocsb.com.
Snowfall might be over in New England, but what about next winter? Don't get caught off guard with a damaged plow once that first snowflake of the 2016 winter hits. Go talk to Andy Burke at Northeast Snowplow Repair. After repairing plows for more than 20 years, they have established themselves as the #1 snowplow repair spot in New Hampshire. Call 603-627-9053 and tell them Overtime.News sent you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I improved my credit score.
You're kidding, right?
No.
How are we supposed to be the bad boys of electro-synth pop if you're out there being responsible? The band is about to be discovered. This is our year.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a while now.
You think anyone in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was worried about their credit score?
I never really thought that.
Of course they weren't. Rock stars aren't supposed to think about that kind of stuff. We're supposed to think about how many guitars we've smashed, write aggressively sensitive power ballads, start questionable fashion trends, tragically break up and blame creative differences.
All right. I thought maybe it was time to take control of my finances, Start using a budget, get out of debt, set some goals.
A budget? Debt? Set some goals? Listen, I knew that we'd have our creative differences, but I was hoping they'd involve a little more scandal.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Join parents and experts at Understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues designed to help you help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything. Brought to you by Understood.org and the Ad Council.
When is the best time to talk to your family about staying in touch during a disaster? When the unthinkable happens? Or is the best time perhaps today? Go to nyc.gov/readyny or call 311 and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by New York City Emergency Management and the Ad Council.
So we're back here after the break. We got Jason on the line with us. Dustin is listening in. Joe is here with us. It's been a two-man show for a good. We'll have the full crew back with us. Jerry Jones, okay. Jerry Jones, he had comments regarding bringing a team back. He called, and I'm trying to pull up the article here. Here it is. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, this is the headline. And his team, he had to do with the team who would be moved to Vegas, but regardless, Jerry Jones, he's a man of the people. He's an advocate. So he, and he's also some other things that I don't necessarily say on the airwaves, but Jones has come out. He's called the city a crown jewel. If I pull up the article here, just scroll down. Go to the internet. And don't you love when the internet, you gotta find something on the internet. You know how like the page skips, so you scroll down, it skips back to the top. I love loading things. I think he at the end of a concordance they are better. Anyway, so Jerry Jones says, and I quote. Anyway, Joe, real quick, while I'm finding this, did you do anything about this, Jerry Jones?
Yeah, I mean, Jerry Jones in Las Vegas? Are you kidding me? I love it.
Well, he calls it one of the crown jewels of the country. Jerry Jones says, he says, and I think my internet's finally working here.
Any team, please bring a professional team to Las Vegas. If it's the Raiders, what was Jerry Jones talking about?
Be the Raiders. I mean, there's the only team that's potentially going to move right now.
But what is Jerry Jones? Okay, he doesn't want a new team. He wants to move a team there. Okay, so he's
excited about having an NFL franchise in this, basically.
And I think it's brilliant. And it's brilliant. And the concerns about the gambling, what did Goodell say? You got the quote here. It's going to have an influence on the outcome of the game. I have a big problem with that. My question, tell me how NFL games can be influenced.
Well, first, Jones says, it has a flair for entertainment, it has 2 million people, and they're avid sports fans, full-time presence, Jerry Jones said. He goes on to say, even people who aren't full-time in the community have a huge visiting contingent of people also who are huge sports fans. They have some of the some of the biggest and most famous sports bars in the country. He said here that you add all that together, it's certainly in a conversation about the future relative to the NFL. As you well know, you have the right situation, you have to have the right ownership, want to, and then add all the considerations have come into play. For me, I think the fact that Las Vegas has a gambling aspect that's far overshadowed by the entertainment value, if you will, family appeal that you have, and the convention appeal. So it does not have disfavor with me, in my opinion, being relative to an NFL city. So Jones sort of touched a little bit on it. Then Roger Goodell was asked about it. Goodell said on ESPN's Mike and Mike program that he would not dismiss the Oakland Raiders' interest in relocating to Las Vegas. He says, I think all of us have evolved a little bit gambling, Goodell said. He says, he added he would be absolutely, now Goodell says he would be absolutely to Vegas if people feel it's going to have an influence on the outcome of the game. Now, a lot of this is, bookies that are out there. There's lines on almost every game. That's how they pick favorites. And Goodell said, well, I think that if the outcome of the game is influenced in any way, shape, or form, then he would be opposed to having a team move there.
Of course.
I understand where it's coming from. But Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman told ESPN's Amy Katz she is confident the Raiders will come if handles this properly. On April 28th, Oakland owner Mark Davis pledged $500 million towards the construction of a $1.4 billion domed stadium that would seat 65,000. The Sands and partnering business Majestic Realty have pledged an additional $150 million, leaving $750 million for taxpayers to see the stadium project through its early stages. Backers said on April 28th they would ask for a special session of the Nevada legislature in August to approve diverting some room tax funds to the stadium. The legislature is not scheduled to meet again until 2017. After that, NFL owners would have to approve the Raiders' relocation with an affirmative votes of at least 24 out of 32 owners. Jerry Jones was a key voice among pushing the Rams' move to Los Angeles. So what does Goodell – I mean, get to Joe in a second, but what could he possibly hear by – the games being affected with the outcomes? He says he doesn't want games affected by the outcome. He'd be opposed to a move. Do you honestly feel that a team in Vegas would be throwing games in order to keep the books up? I mean, is this something that is this casino and Goodfellas all over again? Is this real life, or is that not something that you think would happen? It just so happens to be the gambling mecca of the world, but is this not something that you think is a basic possibility?
I think it's a little overblown. I don't think we'll see any shaving of points or anything like that to be effective in Vegas. I think the team in Vegas is a great idea. Here's why. You will have so many fan bases. First of all, LA is not that far away, so you have all those old Raider fans.
About 2.5 hours. Not too bad.
Yeah, you got the Raider fans of San Diego and all, surrounding areas, Phoenix, whatever. And then you will have road teams. Like, again, if the Giants play the Raiders in Vegas, I'm making that a weekend getaway. And some of the best tailgating cities, to me, would be Vegas, but something like New Orleans. New Orleans, the Superdome is right in the middle of so many bars, so many food eateries. And Vegas gets a bad reputation in terms of just being a gambling capital. Honestly, I've been to Vegas maybe 6 or 7 times, and I've probably gambled twice. It's so much other things to do out there that it doesn't get the shining spotlight as much as gambling, but there's so much other things to do. Cirque du Soleil, families come all over the world to come see Cirque du Soleil. So the whole gambling capital, I think it's a little overblown because pretty much every major city has a casino now. But
we have a
in terms of
call on the
season
line
points-
with a. Well, we have a call on the line with a 603 number. Caller, what's up?
So, my thing is why?
Oh, it's Dustin. God,
wouldn't
really?
Why wouldn't?
I thought it was an actual
we
call. I was
move-
excited for a second. Okay.
Why wouldn't we move a team to Vegas? Because everybody's already betting on games. Fantasy football is as big as it is. So my thing is really Vegas and fantasy football are one and the same. You're betting, you know what I mean? You're putting money down, you're picking players, and there's points, and it's literally the same thing. The issue is that Vegas is so smart, and Vegas, you know, they're paying attention so much now that if a guy showed up that isn't a regular gambler, okay, and he bets a large amount of money on a team that would not normally cover a spread, and he wins, they're going to be all over that. This is stuff that's so, like, you know, out of left field that even, you know, an average non-gambling eye like you and I could catch. So that's my issue. My issue is that there is no issue. So the whole Jerry Jones thing is he was the guy who they were on the fence with L.A., with the Rams. They were actually leaning towards the Raiders. And what happened was Jerry pulled a few of his guys aside. They talked to each other. Everybody left the big conference room where all the owners were meeting, and Jerry single-handedly rallied the troops around the Rams. So it's one of those things where everybody loves him. I mean, everybody hates him and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, he's the guy in this whole dilemma that really gets stuff done. I don't know why. I don't know why it is that if he snaps his fingers, everybody else follows suit. But you can't tell me that all these other owners don't have, a decent amount of money also. So
but he's the only one who built a $1.2 billion stadium out of his own pocket, and the taxpayers pay nothing. So that's another thing.
I'm pretty sure that Seattle Stadium costs close to that, and then there's another. I think.
But the taxpayers pay for
recently.
it. He wrote a check for that stadium. Okay, no other owner's doing that. But anyway, regardless.
But so this is my thing is that it makes no sense. It makes no sense to have Vegas, have any resistance against a team in Vegas. I personally don't understand what this whole moving, nonsense is all about. I think that it makes more sense to do expansion teams because everybody wants to, get.
Yeah, but then you have to add two of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So where else would you put?
They've been literally shoving London down our throats for the last 4 years.
Who's going to want to live in London?
Mexico City.
Mexico City, yeah.
We won't be able to Mexico City once Trump gets in. There'll be a big wall there. But
yeah, right. We'll be able to get there. Yeah.
So my whole thing is if you add two, you add the Vegas, and then you add the, either the London or you add Mexico City or one of the Europes. They're gonna want something, that's international. They've been literally doing these stupid games where they force our players to do it. I mean, I think Dallas got stuck with one of them this year.
We played it. No, not this year. We're not playing this year. We played in London 2 years ago against Jacksonville.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is I'm pretty damn sure we have like a long travel game. You'll have to look it up on the schedule. There's one game that we're playing at like 9 a.m. I thought. But anyways, my point is, I guess my biggest point is what's the problem? Fantasy football is gambling and it's everywhere.
Right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
For once, I agree with you.
I was gonna say it's a rare thing.
Look at it, like the nuts and bolts of it. Like, how would an NFL football team in Las Vegas be influenced by gambling? Is everywhere. How is this different than having a team in Chicago, a team in Miami? You think there aren't
Vegas
and
is the gambling city, though.
Shit down there. What?
Yeah, but Vegas is like the gambling capital.
Yeah, but
basically,
right, for the PR
but
purposes,
some people
I
could
understand.
Agree that you place more bets in Jersey than you do in Vegas sometimes.
The PR
if you live on the East Coast,
I get it. But the reality of it is,
but all the lines for these games, though, all the all the lines, the stats, the favorites, that's all Vegas numbers that are coming out.
But, okay, so
I mean, Vegas is.
Wouldn't you agree right now that people already think that sports is rigged, like across the board?
Of course,
so
of course they do.
People bitch about referees' calls in the NBA and the NFL. It doesn't matter. Everybody's a conspiracy theorist. So my point is what are we? I mean, everyone's already talking about the integrity of the game. So now what? We're going to pass up on millions of dollars? No, that makes no damn sense. So it's like this isn't going to hurt the league in any way. People are already complaining about the referees and how's everything happening. I mean, there's everybody already knows there's controversy going on now. There will always be controversy. So it's like it makes no sense to turn away. I mean, the proposed deal, Chris, it's not taxpayers that would have to come up with the extra $750 million. They're going to put it on room fees. They're going to put it on all the tourist stuff. So it's like all those people that show up and get off the airport and then, stop at the, the Ritz, stop at the MGM, and all those things they're just going to jack all their prices up $5 each, and nobody will even notice.
Yeah, which is fine. You're right. No one will notice. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So in reality, people in Las Vegas, they're like, "Whoa, what the hell? They're going to put this on the tax rate." No. They're going to put it on the tourists. Yeah. Nice. This team, anybody in Las Vegas should be amped because if anything, they're going to get the closest thing to a free franchise that has ever been. Because they're not going to have to pay anything out of their pockets. Las Vegas is already Las Vegas. So now you go and take a patch of the desert and you dump a giant, gorgeous stadium in it. That, if anything, it's just giving them one more thing to do. So I just don't see it makes absolutely no sense.
They also could host. Well, they also could not only host a team, but they also then could host Super Bowls.
Right.
Too.
Could you imagine? They would shut
the
down
Super Bowl in
Las
Vegas?
Oh, it'd be incredible.
Oh, my God.
I'd have to go to the first
Bowl,
one.
Final Four, WrestleMania, all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But, guys, the whole meta thing is the PR aspect to it. All of those events happening in Las Vegas can be tainted by the PR effect of being in Las Vegas alone. That's the only thing I can see that's negative about it. Now, the reality of it is I don't think something like the NFL at all will ever be influenced by some two-bit gangster, okay? Yeah. Besides, these casinos they may be run by, they're upstanding corporations for the most part, okay? This isn't back in the 1950s in the Flamingo. This isn't, Bugsy Siegel, fixing games and stuff like that. The NFL has more money than God. They are the gangsters, if there's ever gangsters, okay? So the game being influenced is not going to happen, but
that's what I was saying.
The perception
it already
could be out there that it might happen.
You know what I mean?
Right,
you
but the perception by the public is the key.
Yeah, of course. So it's like you're basically preaching to Joe. Realistically, I don't think right now it's the millennials that are against it. I think it's the 50 and older that is against it because they're thinking back to what you just said, the 50s and 60s, when it was the mob and all this other that was controlling it, and all your lifelong Chicago Bears and Packers fans and even the 90s Cowboys fans are, I think, on the younger side of it because that was towards the tail end. If I'm old enough to remember it, it wasn't that long ago. So that's my point. I think it's the 49ers, that early 49ers generation, Packers, Bears,
Steelers,
Yeah, Steelers. It's all those fans that are like, well, this is an outrage and blah blah. It's like, no, it's not. This is just another example of evolution. You evolve or you die. It's that simple.
Well, the NFL isn't anywhere close to dying, but I agree.
Well, no,
putting a team in Vegas will be a boom for the organization. Yeah, no, it's a great idea. I love it. Do it now.
Jason, jumping on here because we already had to skip one, and we're probably gonna have to skip two topics, which we'll bring back on Tuesday with the full crew here. And in fact, the baseball thing I definitely want to get to with the full crew about the time limit on replay umps and cameras at ballparks, things like that.
Can you give me real quick everybody's opinion on the MVP? Because I missed that. What was the
I missed that.
What was the ultimate
what we said
thing?
Recapping here was we talked about Steph Curry being the unanimous MVP, okay? MVP, most valuable player. Now, Joe looked up saying that the MVP award is given to the best player in the regular season. So I said we should have a BP award, Best Player award, not MVP, because is Curry really the most valuable player to that team? I mean, they were blowing teams out.
They could do Player of the Year. You know what I mean?
Well,
right.
They were blowing
Best Player of the Year. Yeah.
Well, even in the playoff series, they were blowing teams out when he was out. So, in my opinion, I think LeBron James is a lot more valuable to the Cavs than Steph Curry is to the Warriors team. Even Draymond Green or Andre Iguodala, as Jason pointed out, is more valuable to their respective team. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, they are more MVPs, more valuable players. So should the word valuable be sort of examined here is really what we were looking at. Because, Curry might be the best player, but he's not the most valuable.
Let me ask you guys this. If you took Damian Lillard off the Trailblazers, would they win 20 games? No.
No.
If you took Chris Paul off the Clippers, would they win 20? No. So my whole
maybe
issue,
20, yes.
My issue is people are. I think everybody forgets that. I think about 10 years ago, the word value started to get muffed out because they were handing this thing out to people that were having great years. And not across the board. You're like, well, if you took this, because never has the criteria for the MVP been, well, if you take this guy away from the team, they're done. Because Jordan got the damn thing almost every year. You know what I mean? And the Bulls, when you took Jordan away,
wasn't
still
unanimous.
won 60 games.
Yeah, but they didn't. They lost the championships.
Yeah, so this is the thing, unanimous, and I don't care as much about the unanimous thing as I care more about the valuable argument, and LeBron should have got it over Curry. I disagree, because when you look at the two teams, if you put Curry on the Cavs are going to be better than they are with LeBron, because they're going to be able to spread the floor, shoot more. Curry, Irving, J.R. Smith, they would break the three-point record, because you got three-point shooters right there. I would actually argue that you got more three-point shooters with J.R. Smith, Kyrie Irving, Curry than you do with Klay Thompson. Draymond Green isn't known for a three-point shooting. Harrison Barnes is average. I think other than Curry, other than the Splash Brothers, you don't have effective three-point shooting on the Warriors. They all just shoot it. It's whether or not you shoot it at a high rate and a high make. And my point is, I think J.R. Smith is a lights-out three-point shooter. I think he gets hot. He gets extremely cold, but when he's hot, the dude just starts launching them up like Curry-esque. Look at the Cavs. They broke the three-point record in the playoffs this year, and that was not due to LeBron. That was J.R. Smith. That was like all the role players, Kyrie Irving going nuts. So my point is, everyone's like, well, LeBron, if you take LeBron away from the Cavs, they're nothing. Well, dude, if you take Curry away from the Warriors, I'm sorry, they're not the same team, because who's bringing the ball up the floor? It's not going to be Draymond Green. I'm sorry. Everybody's all on Draymond Green. He's a great – Draymond Green is the Pippen. He's the guy who does a little bit of everything. He rebounds. He can pass when he's down low because everybody collapses on him, so it's very easy for him to do the no-look Shaq pass behind the back of the head. So my thing is pump the brakes on, Curry MVP is not even the best player on his team. Come on, guys. Everybody is penalizing Curry for being a great player on a great team, all-time great team. You're punishing Curry because the GM is the GM of the decade. That GM is what needs the recognition. He's the guy that put this team together with all these pieces that got everybody to take pay cuts to make it work before the salary cap exploded. That's why everyone's deathly afraid of Durant going to Golden State. They did all of this without the extra money available to them. Like, they were ready to – that's why – who's the guy, Jason, you'll know this. Who's the guy that just left after they won the championship? David Lee, and then didn't they lose another role player that was supposed to be making like $10 million a year?
I think it was – I can't remember who it was. I know it was David Lee and somebody else.
So my point is they lost a couple guys. They were prepared to not have the salary cap for everybody. But if they had known it was going to inflate like this over the next 3 years, they could have kept everybody together and then added pieces. So that GM is so far ahead of the game, it's ridiculous. So my thing is we're all dogging Curry and taking him for granted. I said, Chris will remember this. This is why I love the timeline on Facebook, because when you post stuff on Facebook years ago, you get that little notification on this day 2 years ago, and it shows you either your statuses or your pictures. Well, 4 years ago I said Steph Curry's better than LeBron James, everyone's like, that's atrocious. That's not good. Blah, blah, blah. And I got absolutely annihilated by everybody on Facebook.
He
and
did.
Like,
I remember that. he got blasted.
I go do everything. I go put it all in 5 categories, people. I go do ball handling, passing ability, rebounding, defense, and shooting. I go, those are your 5 categories, okay? Run them down, each player. Who's better at what? And ultimately, I found 3-2 advantage Curry. Passing, shooting.
You have way too much free time.
No, I just did the rundown. All I did was give rebounding and defense to LeBron because he's bigger. He's bigger. He's the rundown guy. But now in his old age, he's even losing, the defense aspect. He's not doing those crazy full length of the court rundown, pin off the backboard things anymore. He's starting to lose his stuff. He's starting to realize he's got to pick and choose his stuff. So my point is, when you look at the 2 guys, who's the better ball handler? You're going to tell me a 6'9" guy who's almost done his career is better than a point guard? No. So ball handling, Curry. Who's the better shooter? Okay, that's a joke. Shooting, Curry. Who's the better passer? Really? You're going to tell me that the power forward? Yeah, great. He looked up and he's the closest thing to Magic Johnson.
All he does is pass now. He doesn't take the clutch
He's not
shot.
Magic Johnson, though, guys. He's not. He's not a better passer than a point guard who's played point guard his entire life. Steph Curry. Who's the better rebounder?
This NBA Finals is going to be very interesting. I think LeBron's roping open a lot of folks.
But Jason, you can't go off the finals because LeBron tore the finals up last year. It doesn't matter. It's a team effort, right? So my point is if you take Curry, put him on the Cavs, I think the Cavs are going to be better. You put LeBron on the Golden State Warriors, they're going to slow down. You guys wouldn't agree with that? You wouldn't agree that if LeBron went to the Warriors, they would be scoring much less at a slower pace and playing more half court?
I can see it.
I don't know about that. I mean, LeBron runs and guns with the best of them.
He's certainly not pulling out on a fast break and then pulling up for threes, like within 4 seconds of the other team missing. The reason why Golden State just grabs your heart right out of your chest is if you guys, I don't know if you were paying attention to this past series, the Trailblazers were doing well. The Trailblazers were scaring the Warriors, and they were scaring everybody who was watching because you're like, holy crap, all of a sudden Damian Lillard right up the court, blah, 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 bam, drains a 3 that he's not supposed to hit. But what happens? Literally 2 seconds left, the Larry Bird play, they don't even wait for you to turn around and pay attention. Curry's up the court, drains a 3. Your 3's canceled out. Your heart gone on the floor, and I'm stepping on it. They rip it out of your chest. So when you think that you finally have it, like the amount of times Lillard almost had that game locked up with a crazy 3, or they had this other kid with the goofy Odell Beckham hair that was walking, draining 3s left and right for the Trailblazers. And then all of a sudden, they're over there like, hands up, waving at the crowd, and then they don't even pay attention. They turn around, boom, Curry, 3. So it's like, this is the thing. They just destroy you. Within 4 seconds, they're just launching 3s from almost the half-court line like it's a free throw. And they're like, all right, cool. And everybody's got their hands up like, it's going in. So it's like, I'm sorry, I just don't see how LeBron goes to the Warriors. You cannot tell me they're a faster team and they're a more efficient team. They're all perimeter guys. LeBron and Draymond are damn near the same guy, only
Justin,
Draymond's younger.
Do you agree with giving out the MVP now? Because if they give him the MVP now and not right after the regular season,
I've never agreed with that.
Yeah, let's say he gets the MVP now and then he has a terrible final series. Yeah, let's say he has a terrible final series and they lose. All of a sudden that goes all for naught, right?
Well, think about it like this: what if Kobe was healthy and this wasn't his last year? The Lakers were god awful. He was averaging 50 points a game. He was averaging a triple-double. You're telling me he's got the MVP, but because they don't make the playoffs, they're not going to give that award to him. It's like you can't. I personally have always hated giving out the MVP in like the first, second round of the playoffs because there are guys that get it and then literally the next night get eliminated from the playoffs. And you're like, well, there goes the MVP. And it's like
LeBron did it 1 year. Yeah.
I remember it happened to Garnett back in the day when he was with the T-Wolves. So it's like you can't – I just think it's stupid because, I don't know, I don't think but then everybody brings in the whole, well, what? Now you're only going to give the MVP to someone who makes the playoffs, and it's like, so it becomes this tough thing. But I think that's also why, and Jason knows what I'm talking about, they started doing this like Players Association MVP. It's like the players vote their own MVP, and they gave it to James Harden last year because they were so disgraced with Curry getting it. Everybody was so like anti-Curry, just like they still are, that they're like, well, all right, our MVP is James Harden, and James Harden got it.
Yeah, but Harden doesn't deserve it either.
That's when I wrote that article. That's when I wrote that article, will the real MVP please stand up? Because I was like, well, what are we really going to take here? Are we going to let the Associated Press do it, or are we going to let the players do it? I personally would rather have the players do it. I think the players should vote for their own MVP, and I think they should also vote for their own All-Stars. Because I think the players are the only ones that truly deserve to judge each other. Like, who are we to say, Kyle Lowry deserves to be in on the East as opposed to, Paul George? Like, get the hell out of here. Like, what do I know? Just because I watched?
Listen, so we had to skip a couple of topics today because we had an action-packed 2 hours. Joe and I held down most of the fort. Brianna had a final. Jeremy had school, but they'll both be back on Tuesday. Both be rolling ready to go. Jason contributed well. Real quick, 3 minutes left. Just want to know, and I want just say yes or no. We'll touch on this more on Tuesday. We're going to jump into the baseball thing that we missed as well as the NCAA thing that we missed. But do you feel that the lottery system in the NBA improves parity? Or if you look at a team like this year, the Celtics being a playoff team and having possibly anywhere from the first to the third pick. So does the lottery system, because you look at this lottery system.
Trade.
Well, yeah, but the lottery system is supposed to improve parity. Yeah. But when have teams been good at getting lottery picks? I mean, it takes 5, 6, 7 years before these teams become good, yet they get lottery picks because I mean teams that are lottery teams have been lottery teams. It seems like they've been lottery teams forever.
Yeah, well, look at the 76ers. They've gotten the first pick for years, right? And they still suck.
Well, they're tanking on purpose. But that's a whole other issue.
They've been in the top 3 for a few years, but I think they need to go NFL and just if you're in last place, you get the number 1 pick. That's parity. Each team is good. Not parity isn't on one night ping pong balls. Parity is any given Sunday, every team has a chance to win. So
I see what you're saying. The lottery system or straight up the way the NFL does it.
Or the draft.
I like the NFL system better, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, because if you're a garbage team, right, okay, yeah, everybody's going to be faced with the whole tanking, dilemma, but whatever. If you got to pack it in for a year just to go get a solid point guard that you think will be, the point guard of the future, then whatever, do it. I mean, everybody's going to know you're doing it, whether you say you are or not. And even if you aren't doing it, they're going to suspect you're doing it. So, you're damaged.
Dustin, great stuff. Great stuff from the co-owner of Time.News. Great stuff from Jason, as usual. Joe, always a pleasure. We will save this for Tuesday because I definitely want to get your opinion on it. So we'll see you all on Sunday. Satellite Sundays, we have the full staff. And then we'll see you again for Sports Roundup. Have lunch with us. But before then...
You know what really grinds my gears? You, America. You.
That's all I have to say about that. We'll see you on Tuesday. Actually, we'll see you Sunday, then Tuesday. Have a good day.
Open up the champagne. Pop. It's my house. Come on. Turn it up. Hear a knock on the door in the night.